What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today's video, we are talking about my top 10 baits 2025. Now, obviously, this is subjective, right? You know, what's really cool about Matt and I filming all of our fishing trips and expeditions is you get to, when you go back and edit it or watch the footage, even if you're not catching fish, you can go back and analyze stuff. So I highly recommend you guys get a camera and start filming your fishing trips, whether it's from the shore with a chesty mount or on a kayak or on a bass boat. There's little subtle nuances that you can pick up on sometimes that you don't necessarily pick up on when you're on the water, whether it's a storm change or weather change or you know, water ripples or clarity, all sorts of things. You can kind of little minuscule things you can really pay attention to, and that's really what sets the good guys apart from the average guys, is making those little adjustments in real time. But being able to go back, even if it's a day that you struggled, and watch that footage, you can maybe find a key piece here and there of maybe why it didn't work out for you, or maybe why it did work out for you. And it's really cool to be able to go back and watch that footage. So in doing so, I got to go back and kind of watch a lot of the footage through 2025, the entire year, and some of my favorite fishing trips. And this is a really hard list to compile. When you have to really narrow it down to 10 baits, it was really tough. And so, like I said, it's really subjective. If you compared Matt and I's notes, we'd probably have 4 or 5 of the same ones, or maybe 6 or 7 of the same ones, but there'd be some oddball ins and outs and some little different baits, just because we fish different fisheries at different times, right? So I went through and compiled my top 10 baits list for the year of 2025, for last year. And I figured the best way to kind of go about this, no particular order as far as like favorites or anything like that, but just start off at the beginning of the year, the month of January, and work our way through all the way to last month, December. So my number one bait to start off this for the top 10, thinking about fishing late winter into early spring, is going to be an A-rig. You guys know how much I love throwing an A-rig. You guys know how many big fish I've caught on an A-rig. If you guys are new to the channel, it's one of my favorite wintertime, it is probably my favorite wintertime technique to throw to target those big fish. Whether it's a big swim bait or an A-rig, those are probably my top 2. But this last year, 2025, caught that big old largemouth. It was a freezing day. I think the water temps were high 40s, maybe, if I can remember correctly. But I know when I launched, it was like 19 degrees, and I was the only boat on the entire lake. And the only bass bite that I got was on this guy right here. This is the mini flex rig by Hog Farmer. 3 dummy baits, three hooked baits, and it's bladed. A lot of times this time of the year, these fish are chasing shad. Even though it's frigid conditions, these fish are all about the bait fish. So adding a little bit of blade flash, a little bit of vibration can really help you get bites this time of the year. Now, if it is really clear, cold conditions, and I feel like the visibility is really good, I will go to a non-bladed rig. So this comes in a bladed and non-bladed. Obviously, we have 3 different sizes: the flex rig, the mini flex, and the micro. But this is the mini. If I had to pick one, it'd be the mini bladed. So many big fish on this guy right here. But that is my number one go-to bait if I have to fish through the winter time. You know, these fish are on bait. You can creep it down on bottom. You can fish it mid-column, throw it up shallow, hop it, and it come off the brakes, let it swim down. But that guy right there is my number one bait for the year of 2025. Now, continuing through that kind of late winter, early spring, the next bait that I picked up is going to be this guy right here, specifically the 4-inch Stroll Shad. Now, Matt just did an entire video talking about basically a seminar on the jig and minnow or strolling technique. Now, this video is not a video about, it's not a popularity contest. It's not what's going on in the world of bass fishing and what's trending and what's not. These are our confidence baits. These are baits that we had success, a ton of confidence in, caught a lot of fish on, and that's really how I compiled this list. So specifically, that 4-inch stroll shad in this color right here, this is called green shad, paired up with a Tennessee Shad Guppy HD. It's a little bit more stout of a hook, but that is what I threw all the way into basically late spring. It has kind of that slender profile, smooth side, but I really like throwing that guy right there. And again, it was kind of a 1-2 punch for me between the A-rig and that stroll shad, kind of like my 1-2 punch anytime I was out fishing in the wintertime. Now, as we moved farther into the year, pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn, I couldn't help but go back and remember some of the big fish I caught on this guy right here. So number 3 bait is going to be the Yamamoto Senko. Specifically this color right here, that's green pumpkin amber laminate. So it's kind of got green pumpkin bottom, amber laminate's got some little bit of flake in there. But whether you're rigging this weedless, so Texas rigged, or you're rigging it wacky, or you're Nico or Neko rigging it, the Senko is it's a top 10 bait of mine of my entire career. It's just always been a fish catcher and a fish producer. But this year caught a lot of big fish on that Senko, especially as we got farther into spring and you started getting some grass coming up. Throwing a weedless or a Texas rig Senko around grass lines, around dock pilings, around laydowns, cover, that sort of stuff, where those fish are kind of in that stuff and they're ambushing out. Even in clear water conditions, light line conditions, being able to fish this guy right here as it falls down, it's an easy bait to fish. Not a lot of action, just real subtle falling action. Rigging it weedless produced a lot of big bites for me. And then also putting a nail weight in the head and rigging it on a Neko rig setup produced some really good fish for me as well. So that is a huge player right there, that color. And then obviously 297, that green pumpkin black flake is another winner. Just like every video, guys, we will link all the products that we're talking about down below in the video description. You can click on them and it'll go right to Tackle Warehouse and you can get HD pictures of the colors and the flake that I'm talking about. So yeah. All right. Now moving into, so we kind of talked about that pre-spawn stage. Another bait that really stood out or produced for me this year is this guy right here, the 6-inch Magdraft. Now you guys know that Matt and I, we love throwing swim baits. What's so cool about this 6-inch Magdraft, I mean, look at the head on this thing. It's just completely chewed up. It's pretty beaten up. What's awesome about the swim bait, and specifically this guy, this is Borealis Shad, by the way, being able to chuck and wind, cover a lot of water. This thing has a real good tail kick and real good body roll. Those of you guys that have fished a Magdraft before know that there's like a perfect kind of speed cadence to your handle turns. Once you find that, you'll see it in the water. This thing just comes alive. That head shakes, that body shakes, that tail's kicking, and fish come a long way to eat it. But that specific color, that Borealis Shad in that 6-inch Magdraft, produced a lot of fish for me this year. Produced a lot of good quality largemouth bites. Caught some spots on it. Caught some smallies on it. Look at this tail. Tail's just shredded. But that guy right there, I'm gonna go ahead and retire that one. That one caught a lot of fish for me. So if you're fishing just like that Senko, if you're fishing around grass lines, submerged cover, dock pilings, that sort of stuff, you can skip this thing around dock pilings. It has a lot more drawing power than a little Senko. So if you're a guy that's trying to find those big pre-spawn females up shallow in the spring, that guy works really well, and it worked really well for me this year. Continuing down the line. Again, this was a fun list to compile because you kind of have to limit out, I mean, a lot of techniques and a lot of baits. You know, Matt and I, you know, we're known as gear fanatics or gear junkies. So we're always, I mean, heck, my last trip out, I probably had 15, 18, 20 rods rigged, different baits, trying them out, seeing what they look like underwater, trying to catch fish on them. So we're always tinkering, we're always playing. So to really narrow this down to 10 was a little tricky, but a lot of fun. All right, next up, I believe this is bait number 5. So we're halfway through. The Karashi. This is it's the hottest bait on the market right now. In the industry, this little bait right here is so hard to get. I think they're in stock right now. That's Glitch Shad. That is a special color that Matt and I got to do for Megabass. We got to come out with 3 custom colors in the Karashi. When we first started fishing this thing, the fish would just come unglued for it. It's a twitch bait, a subsurface twitch bait that's walking back and forth, and these fish just climb all over it. If they eat it once and miss it, they'll eat it again and again and again. It's just a very fun, very easy way to fish. A lot of it is visual, so that just gets that heart rate going, gets that blood pumping, and it's very, very addictive. But being able to design that color, that's Glitch Shad, like I said, being able to design a couple colors with such an awesome company like Megabass was really cool. That guy right there, again, catching so many fish, especially during that spawn time when those fish are up cruising around. They're in the shade lines underneath laydowns, and you're making these little roll casts up to that shade line, and you're twitch. This thing's dancing all over the place. Then all of a sudden, you just see this big white mouth come up and just engulf it. Again, gets that heart pumping. So that is my number 5 bait. Number 6, going back through a lot of this footage, you know, you find yourself in different fishing conditions, whether it's post-frontal conditions or pre-frontal conditions. Maybe you're on the front end of spring, you get a late winter storm, that air temp drops, those fish shut down, or the vice versa. You get a southern storm, you get real high temps, you get those fish active. In the total of these 10 baits, I included 2 Finesse. One I've already talked about. I talked about that Senko. The other bait that really produced a ton of quality bites for me was this guy right here. That is the Missile Baits Magic Worm, the 6-inch Magic Worm in 2 different colors. Number 1 color, Missile Morning. That pink just works awesome in the springtime. I don't know what it is about springtime and pink worms, but that guy right there caught a lot of big fish for me. And now again, I'm fishing this a very specific way. I'm fishing it on a power shot. So a drop shot setup, rigged weedless, so rigged Texas rig. I'm throwing it on like a 2-aught cover shot HD hook, 1/4 ounce weight, probably a 8 to 12-inch leader. And I'm throwing it on a bait caster, heavy line. I'm flipping and pitching this thing around those same areas I'm throwing that Magdraft and that Senko. I was throwing it around grass lines, isolated reed patches that are coming up as those things start to grow, as those water temps, as we get later into the year and those water temps start rising, you start getting those isolated reed patches. So being able to flip that 6-inch worm right in the middle of those reed patches really produced a lot of really big bites for me. And then that second color that I like to throw, that's called Blueback Secret. It is a kind of a do-all color, kind of has brown bottom, greenish iridescent top with a blue vein, bluegill. Basically for me, even though it's called Blueback Secret, it works really well on bluegill fisheries as well. But that guy right there was my number 2 Finesse bait. If I needed to fish weedless, I needed to fish through brush piles or around brush piles, that was the bait, and that is the worm. You know, these colors, they're made by RoboWorm. If you guys aren't familiar with RoboWorm, RoboWorm has a ton of really good colors. So these are poured by RoboWorm, so they have some really, really nice colors. But those 2 right there are my 2 favorite of 2025. All right, next bait up. Now we're switching to top water. And if you guys don't know anything about me, you guys should know that I love throwing topwater. It's that visual bite. It's what really got me hooked on bass fishing as a little kid, fishing ponds with a hula popper and a jitterbug. Seeing a 2 to 7 pound largemouth come out of the water and just eat your bait. I mean, there's nothing else like it. So with that said, this guy right here, the Megabass Giant Dog X. Specifically, that is called Spotlight Shad. So just like the Karashi, we got to come out with 3 of our most desired colors with Megabass. So the Giant Dog X is a special topwater in itself. It's a very subtle topwater. It's a topwater that a lot of guys, I think, are just now starting to throw. So it's a walk and a sound that the fish haven't seen. And I like to call it a finesse topwater. It's a bait that I'm gonna throw in low light conditions, whether it's first light or last light, foggy mornings, slick, calm mornings where there's not a lot of commotion or ripple or wind on the water. This thing just gets bit. Specifically that Spotlight Shad. It's a chrome color topwater, kind of a blue purple iridescent back. That is a color that we wanted. Threadfin shad, blueback herring, any of those, like silver sides, any of those bait fish have that real chromy side, and that was a color that we really wanted to add to that lineup. So that guy right there, the Giant Dog X, that thing is just beaten. It's got, I mean, I fished this thing for a year. It's got paint starting to come off it, teeth marks all over the head. It produced a lot of nice spotted bass and largemouth bites for me. But that guy right there, again, super hard to narrow this down to 10 because I could go on a couple different topwater baits, a couple different swim baits, but I'm trying to just pick out my most confident baits, or at least the baits that I had the most success with. With that said, the next bait up that I grabbed for you guys, or that I picked, is going to be this guy right here. That is the Spark Shad. Now, if you guys have watched any of our videos through the late spring, early summer, even into fall, this guy did damage for me. That guy is the Spark Shad. That's the real color. That is by far my favorite color. It has produced so many giant bites for me. So I rig it one of 2 ways. I have it with, this is a 1/8 ounce guppy head, and this is an 1/8 ounce guppy HD. A little bit more stout of a hook. It's a 2/0 hook, heavier wire hook. If I'm fishing around big fish, I go with that stepped up hook, that guppy HD. That thing will not bend out. If I'm fishing lighter lined conditions, clarity kind of comes into play, and I think these fish are line shy, so I'm going down to 5 and 6 pound line, then I'll go with that guppy head. But this Spark Shad has such a, with an 1/8 ounce head, you can get this thing fishing so slow that these fish just come up off bottom and just eat it and go down. They don't even, it's the coolest thing. I used to sit there and watch these fish in clear water, and they would just, you know, eating gobies and crayfish, that sort of stuff. These fish are so smart, especially these big smallmouth up north, which kind of what I'm thinking about, picturing in my head as I'm telling these stories. These fish are so smart. Everything is so visual, and being able to trick them with this thing, whether it's just slowly creeping it as you see that sub come up, that big dark shadow behind your swim bait, you kill it, it goes down to bottom, you see that fish nose down to bottom, you burn it real quick and kill it, and that thing shoots up real quick and just kind of blows on it. It literally is blowing water to kind of spook that thing so it can play that cat and mouse game. Then you burn it, pause it, it charges up again. So cool to watch how these fish interact with this bait, but they love it. That Spark Shad right there produced so many fish for me, so many big fish for me this last year. All right, now let's transition from kind of that late summer, early fall into fall, winter. I got 2 different baits for you. Number 1, the 3.5 Spunk Shad. Now earlier I talked about the 4-inch Stroll Shad, Both of these are by Hog Farmer, but they are completely different baits. The only thing that's similar is their pin tail, right? You guys know how much we love that Spunk Shad as a chatterbait trailer. This thing is so good as a chatterbait, but it works extremely well on a guppy head. 1/4 ounce guppy head, 3/16 ounce guppy head HD. That 3.5 specifically in Ghost Minnow. I think that's an overlooked color in that lineup. A lot of guys throw electric shad. You know, I talked about green shad earlier. That is a phenomenal color, but that Ghost Minnow color produced a ton of big fish for me this last fall. I say this last fall, it was only a couple months ago. Those of you guys that followed the channel for a little while saw that I caught my PB smallmouth on it, 7.4. On that guy specifically right there. 1/4 ounce guppy head, guppy HD with a 3.5 Spunk Shad. The Spunk Shad has a fatter body. It's got a ribbed body, a little bit different action than the Stroll Shad. You know, when they made that Stroll Shad, they kind of slimmed up the body and stretched out the tail to get more of a slender profile. This has more of a fatter profile, and it works really well. It has worked really well for me the last several months and into winter, so I wanted to include that. So a little bit different presentation than the Stroll Shad. But like I said, Matt just did that entire seminar on the jig and minnow, on strolling, the Demiki rig, whatever you want to call it. There are some subtle nuances to it, and it's a technique that you guys need to learn. It does not need, you do not need to have forward-facing sonar for this to work. It is a technique that works anywhere you would throw your finesse swim baits. But that guy right there, that Spunk Shad in that Ghost Minnow, is an awesome, awesome bait and produced a lot of bites for me. Now, last but not least, rounding out the top 10 for 2025, I had to include it because I've been fishing so well with it the last couple months, the jigging spoon. 2 different spoons for you. That's the dust spoon right there. An amazing, that's an 1.75 ounce spoon. As these fish move offshore into deeper water, wintertime, you know, they're on bait, they're on the bait balls, they're close to bottom, they're suspended, wherever they're at, being able to drop a spoon down to them and then hop it, and it falls like a dying bait fish, the fish just come unglued for it. So that dust spoon, extremely fun to fish. It's a fun way to fish, get down close to those fish, get jigging, and when they fight, it's just a really cool bite. And that other 1-2 punch in the spoons, that is the War Eagle. That's a 7/8 ounce spoon. That is a bait that's a lot smaller than that 1.75 ounce spoon, but they eat it. They choke this thing. It's a spoon that gets down fast. Little tip on getting that spoon down fast to those active fish. Thumb that spool, let it fall straight down, then jig it. Jig it. It's going to come up, shoots up, and then falls like a dying shad, and the fish just come unglued. But looking back, I caught so many fish on a jigging spoon last winter, you know, January, when I was throwing that A-rig and that Stroll Shad. And then this winter, it's just been one of my staples. And so I included it in my top 10. The dust spoon and that War Eagle spoon, those 2 spoons are killer. Here's the 1.75 ounce duh, and here's the 3/4 ounce dust spoon. So you guys can throw this on your favorite jig rod, but if you're around bait fish in deep water, that jigging spoon is a must if you're fishing in the winter. So I added it in my top 10 because early on in 2025 and later in the year, it just produced a lot of bites for me. So down below in the video description, I want to hear your top 3 baits for the year 2025. Whether it was a finesse bait or a reaction bait, I'm curious to see what has worked for you. And leave in that comment, leave kind of where you are in the country, because it's fun to see the different trends, the different patterns. That's one thing I noticed going through my footage even just watching as I have my rods laid out on the boat, what I picked up first or what I picked up second, or how long did it take me to realize what I needed to switch to and make those adjustments. It's kind of fun to go back and see what your confidence is and what you have success with. But down below in the comment section, I want to hear your top 3 baits, 2 or 3 baits, and then where you are in the country. And it'll be a kind of a cool read to see where you guys are fishing and what produced the bites for you this last year. But guys, as always, we appreciate the support. What an amazing year 2025 Matt and I had. We traveled a lot, thousands and thousands of miles on the rigs, on the skeeters, and looking forward to doing a lot more in 2026. So once again, Happy New Year. We appreciate the support. If you like this video or learned something from it, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.